Well, it's super, super humid. The past week and a half, really humid weather here. I don't miss the desert heat at all, but man, the humidity is tough here. It's gonna take some time to acclimate. Pipe doesn't want to stay lit. I'm sweating like a pig. Sweating like a thief in church. If you go back and watch the other videos that I did, you'll see how I picked my first 3 blends. And you'll see that one of them was a Navy Flake that I had disastrous results with. It was just awful, horrible experience with this Navy Flake. But it had an interesting turn to it, that whole experience, in the sense that it kicked me off on a path of trying to discover what isolated leaves taste like. This Navy Flake was awful. It was really bad. Burned the crap out of my tongue. And I talked to some people at the local tobacco shop and found out that it had Virginia and Perique tobaccos in it. And so I thought, okay, I need to start tasting these individual leaves and get an idea what they are, so I'm less confused going into this whole exploration of different blends. And I decided to start with Virginia, and I had heard somewhere that Perique was a love it or hate it kind of thing, and that it could be very spicy, that it could really light you up. So I kind of assumed that that's where the heat came from in this Navy Flake, and for that reason I have avoided anything with Perique in it as much as possible. And I decided that my first foray into straight blend exploration would be straight Virginias. There's a lot with pipe tobacco. Well, all of it really is subjective. The tastes are very subjective. What one person, one man's trash is another man's treasure, right? What one person hates, somebody else might really love. So, I want to be able to eliminate, even though everybody has different tastes, if I find something that I think is horrible, I'd like to at least be able to eliminate the element or the factor that it could just be really bad tobacco. If I hate something, let me at least be aware that it's because I hate it, not because it's something that's poor quality. So I have decided to try and stick with reputable blends, with things that have a name, some kind of credibility to them. And I did my research on Virginias and landed on 2 options to kick off this Virginia run that I'm doing. And one of them is kind of a classic. It's this is a blend that has been around a very long time. A lot of people like it. It's very popular. Now there's this whole thing about sometimes things will be popular because of all of the hype around them, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's good. It's hard to tell the difference with these tobacco blends between something that is popular because it's so coveted, or something that is coveted because it's so popular. What is a blend that everybody really wants because it's just that darn good, versus what is something that has a reputation? What's hard to get because everybody wants to go with the crowd and do what the crowd is doing? Well, this first tobacco, it was one of those that's hard to tell the difference. But I think that it was a safe bet to say that it is a credible blend, that it is decent quality, simply because of the longevity, because it's been around for so long. and it's had rave reviews the whole time. It's Capstan Blue. We're going to review Capstan Blue. There it is. I got the flake version, which comes in this nifty square tin. This is the second one that I've bought, and so far they don't seem to be as tightly vacuum sealed as the round tins. That's just my experience. Maybe I'm opening them in a weird way or something. Neither of them have seemed spoiled, but there's not that suction effect that you get, like that kind of thing when you pop it open. It has not happened with these yet. Hasn't ruined them by any chance. Has not made them any worse for the wearer, as far as I can tell. This tobacco has been around a long time. It's very famous, very popular. A lot of people love it. Even the people that don't like it admit that it's just because they have different tastes. No one says this is a crappy blend. So I said, okay, that's a good starting point for a run on Virginias. And I wanted to get more than just one, so I also got HH Pure Virginia by Mac Baren. Now I won't review this one yet. I'll do another video on this one, but the Capstan Blue is the one we're going to review. HH Pure Virginia is kind of a it's not been around as long. I think that if I remember correctly what I read, Mac Baren ran a series of straight tobaccos. I'd like to try a lot of them. Hopefully I'll get to do that before the change of ownership takes place, or before whatever, the old ones all go bye-bye. This is their Pure Virginia in that series, and I think that the Pure Virginia, I don't even know what the series is called, but they ran they ran a series of straight leaves, or straight types of tobacco. I think the Pure Virginia came out in like 2014, 2013, something like that. So after doing a little bit of reading, what I wound up with is, let me put this down for a second. I've got a blend that is an old standard. It's been around for ages, has a great reputation as being a solid, high quality tobacco, and a relative new kid on the block that has rave reviews. I thought that'll kind of give me some, you know, if I don't like it, I know it's going to be my taste. It's not going to be a matter of it's crap tobacco. Man, was I surprised. Capstan Blue is, this stuff is, it's amazing. I have been really into Balkan blends. I've been really into different kinds of English blends, strong stuff with lots of punchy flavor. I've discovered that I really like Latakia a lot. Aromatics I'm okay with, you know. I don't hate them, don't love them. I'm surprised that I was very surprised to find that Capstan Blue, just a straight Virginia, could wallop me like it did. This stuff is outstanding. It's amazing tobacco. When you open the tin, and this tin has been opened for several weeks now, what hits me right away, there's a hay smell. It's this sweet hay that I used to smell as a kid. And again, it's wild how many of these things with pipe tobacco remind me of childhood, but anyways. There's a very sweet hay smell. If you've ever been in like a horse stable, the fresh hay that you feed the horses, it's what it smells like, man. They're very, very, very sweet hay smell. When I was a kid, we used to play on hay bales, roll around and climb on them and stuff. It's exactly what it smells like. But here's what really gets me with the Capstan Blue, is there's also a distinct element of sun-dried tomatoes. And it took me a couple of hours to put my finger on what exactly it was. A very distinct, very familiar smell. After a couple of hours, I realized it's sun-dried tomatoes. And not like the super hardcore dried stuff that you get in a bag, but we're talking fresh, okay? Something that's been sitting on the vine, it's almost getting to the point where it's rotting, but not quite. It's been baking in the sun, super sweet, tangy, almost tart, very, very distinct, fresh tomatoes that have literally been drying in the sun. That's what this tastes like and smells like. It's an amazing smell. My fiance said it reminded her of apples. She gets kind of a sour apple, Granny Smith kind of thing from it. For me, it's sun-dried tomatoes all the way. And I was very pleasantly surprised to discover that it tastes just like that. You have a backdrop of this sweet hay that depending on how you smoke it, it can go from a very, not sharp, but a very light, sweet hay into more of a toasted hay. And then if you keep chuffing it and burn the tobacco more, I'm picking up smoldering reeds or smoldering grass. A lot of times the farmers around here will it's not slash and burn, but they'll burn off annually. They will burn off some of the weeds that have grown on the banks of the fields that they've tilled. I guess it's easier and quicker than mowing all of it. That smell, it's dried grass anyways, and that smell will waft through the air. It'll fill the whole region. You know, you're driving down a road, you can pick it up. If you chuff this tobacco really heavily, you start getting some of that. So it goes from a sweet hay smell or taste to this like smoldering field kind of thing, which I love. It's you know, it's something I grew up with. I love it. The sun-dried tomato thing, on the other hand, whether you're sipping it lightly or chuffing it very hard, you have a scale that you're running through. And I've noticed this with most tobaccos. If you're sipping them carefully and not burning them too much, too heavily, too hot, you'll get one kind of flavor. There's a baseline kind of flavor. And the harder you chuff them, the harder you burn them, it changes a little bit. It becomes a little more burned until eventually it goes away. And I'm just kind of getting a burned tobacco thing. Well, there are different flavors that have different characters as you run that scale, right? As you kind of go from the lighter sipping smoke to a heavy burning smoke, you'll get different flavors in there. With Capstan Blue, that's what I'm getting with both the hay and the sun-dried tomato. But the sun-dried tomato is interesting in that it's a scale of flavor that's very easy for me to push and pull along. Some of the flavors, you try to kind of toe the line, you try to kind of carefully draw them from the initial flavor into whatever richer taste they might offer with a heavier burn. But it's too easy to trip and go too far, and it just turns into scorched tobacco. Not so with Capstan Blue. Not so, for me, with the sun-dried tomato taste here. And the scale changes. It goes from sun-dried on a light, careful sip. It goes from a sun-dried tomato into kind of a tangy tomato, into less of a tomato taste and more of just a tang. And then if you push that a little bit and chuff it a little bit heavier, you're getting almost a tongue bite kind of thing. It's very easy for me to carefully move one, forward or backward along that scale to go from sun-dried tomato to tang to a really tart, almost a bite kind of thing. And I've discovered that if you can kind of play very closely with that tangy tongue bite kind of thing, it's kind of nice. It's unexpectedly kind of pleasant to give a little bit of a sting, a little bit of a bite there, if you can carefully do it, And Capstan Blue, for me, makes it very, very easy to do this. It's kind of like training wheels for experimenting with the notion of tongue bite. And I mean, maybe that sounds like something you don't want to do, but for me, it's been really helpful to understand what tongue bite is, to understand how I'm creating it by burning things too hard. Here's what's funny. I'm gonna see if I can I'll try to explain this. Let me light this up. It's so good. With every bowl that I smoke of any good tobacco so far, the deeper that you get down in the bowl, the richer the flavor becomes. I have heard of people who will not smoke beyond, they won't smoke the bottom third or quarter of the bowl. To each his own, but I think that's crazy. For me, the dregs, right? The very bottom of that bowl, there's a window on a 40-minute or hour-long bowl. Typically, I find a window of about 10 seconds right before it's just done. There's nothing left. 10, 15 seconds maybe, where it's super, super rich. The bowl starts off, you know, the top of the bowl, you're not really getting everything that tobacco has to offer. Maybe halfway down or a third of the way down, it's starting to open up like a flower. It's starting to open up, and you're getting a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You get a little deeper, it's like, okay, now we're in it. I'm tasting it. I'm enjoying it. I'm checking it out. You know, I'm thinking about it. And then right at the bottom, that whole experience through the bowl, the culmination of all of those different nuances that you've been picking up and kind of thinking about, for me, with a lot of these good tobaccos, at the very bottom of the bowl, they all come into play at once. It's kind of like when you go to see a play and you've seen the different characters come through and the different musicians come through during the course of the play. At the very end, they all step on stage and take a bow. It's kind of like that for me. When I hit the bottom of the bowl, super rich concentration of everything that I've just experienced over the past hour. And it's for a very short window that only lasts, again, like a bow at the end of a play, maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds, but it's phenomenal, and I look forward to it every time. That richness increases over the course of the bowl. Here's what's cool about Capstan Blue, is I get this scale that I can play with, right? There's a backdrop of the hay. Sweet hay slowly fading into a toasted hay or like a smoldering field thing. It kind of goes back and forth, depending on how I'm burning it. That's the backdrop. And in the foreground is this tangy kind of sun-dried tomato thing that's on a scale between sun-dried tomato into tang into very light, kind of pleasant tongue bite. And I can slide that back and forth anytime I want to at any point throughout the bowl. With a lot of other tobaccos, if they offer that kind of a scale, as you move through the bowl of richness, as you move through the richness of the bowl, you're going to lose that scale. At some point when it gets really rich, it's like it's too, not obtuse, it's not fine enough. It's like the flavors aren't fine enough for you to have this scale that you can play back and forth with. On Capstan Blue they are. So what I can do is run this scale from sun-dried tomato to really tangy and then back again. I can do that at varying levels of richness as I go down through the bowl. If I start up top, I'm running that scale back and forth. And as I bring the tobacco through the bowl, I'm smoking it through the bowl, the whole time I can play with this scale at will. And it gets richer and richer and richer. So it gives me the option of having a not so rich tomato taste at the top of the bowl and end it off with a really rich tanginess at the bottom of the bowl. Or invert that and do a not so rich tanginess, and then by the time I get to the very bottom of the bowl, I've got a light but very rich sun-dried tomato taste. Or any combination above. Really. Anything you want to do in the middle of that scale, I can do with this. I hope that makes some kind of sense. I hope somebody can relate to what I'm saying. For me, it's phenomenal. It doesn't help that it's only really two flavors, right? Like I've been smoking some English blends and some Latakia-based blends that are multifaceted. They've got all kinds of tastes. And with this one, with Capstan Blue, there it is again. Buy this. Buy this. You should buy it. Buy it. I would wear a Capstan Blue t-shirt at this point. I hate wearing brands. I can't stand being branded, okay? I swear I'd buy it. I might look for one. I would buy a t-shirt that says Capstan Blue. I love it that much. Let me try to light it again. Very humid out here. I've realized, well, let me put it this way. This is the first tobacco I've encountered so far that I like it so much that I don't ever want to be caught in the situation where I'm craving it really badly and can't immediately go to a shelf and pick it up. Like I don't want to ever have to be in a position where I want some of this and I've got to wait the 3 or more days that it's going to take to order it and have it come in. It's that good. I want it always to be immediately retrievable from a shelf. You know, I don't want to have to wait more than a couple hours if I'm craving this stuff. When I get off work today, I'm having a bowl of Capstan Blue, man. That's how I feel. And I hear that it only gets better with age. For those 2 reasons, this is the first blend that I am seriously considering deep cellaring. And I mean deep cellaring. It's amazing. It's I think, I can't sing its praises highly enough. Capstan Blue is fantastic. And I've just been wanting to say that for a while now. I've gone through, I'll tell you how good it is when I do these straight leaf runs, I'll buy a blend and finish that tin before I go to the next one. So like, I just cracked open the HH Pure Virginia. Haven't really gotten to know it yet. And it took a couple months because I bought Capstan Blue, and then as soon as it was finished, I bought another one. Like, right away. It's that good. So, I've been wanting to talk about it for a while. That's my first review on straight Virginias. I've got a stack of them sitting in the cellar, or the drawer, whatever. It's going to be a cellar soon. I've got a stack of straight Virginias sitting in there that I'm starting to go through, and I'm going to start doing some reviews on those, as well as other straight leaves. Lately, I know I haven't posted a lot of videos. I've been really busy and moving around, traveling around a lot. But on the road, I stopped by several brick and mortars and grabbed a boatload of tobacco that I've gotten myself set up now to hit these straight runs on different leaves that I want to do, and I'm really excited to start doing them. But I've been on the Virginia run for a while, been wanting to talk about Capstan Blue for a while, and so there it is. One more time, buy it. I don't know what to tell you. Buy this. You should buy it. You might hate it because everybody's tastes are different. You know what I mean? But it won't be because it's bad tobacco. I'll tell you that. This stuff is phenomenal.